Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is Pro Cycling Manager 25 and my cycling team, Thunder Mifflin Cycling Team, based out of the United States. And I had set up a couple of great races to record and got those down and recorded, and none of the sound came through. So I think we're going to basically just turn it into a highlight reel, and we'll talk about some of these results. The first one that I want to highlight is the Trophy Samyn. And in Belgium, Lucas Wisnowski was able to take home fourth place in that particular ride. And it was a pretty typical race. I did burn through most of my squad getting him to the end there, and they dropped off dramatically at the very end. So average finish was in probably about the 80s. If we look at this, 107th, 109th, 10th. Not the best finish for the team, but we did get a fourth place, so I will take that. Next up was the Giro di Liguria, and we did pretty well in this one too, all things considered. This was a 1.pro race, and Larry Warbas was able to finish in the top 10, and we had a couple of more in the top 20. We had Keegan Schwerbel and Albert Withen Philipsen were up there. Not a bad run for these guys. There were several of the riders had this as an objective on their calendar, so a good result there is always going to be a happy time for the whole team. Next up is the Roads Grand Prix in Greece, and this one we have some highlights from. This is one that I had marked my calendar for personally because in other playthroughs I've usually had at least one rider do pretty well on this one, and I was hoping that might be the case here, and it was. Let's take a quick look at some of these highlights. Now, the breakaway had gotten way ahead of the peloton, the 8 riders there. I think at one point they had a 7-minute lead, and so I started using Schmidt and Lindgren to reel them in, and I kind of burned those two pretty badly at one point, and I was afraid I was going to have the whole system fall apart here. I did have everybody lined up more than anything to be able to manage them. I have to say that it feels that often with 7 riders, it can get to be a little bit of a headache to keep track of where every last one of those guys is sitting at any particular time. And the good news is they handled things like water bottles and that on their own when I wasn't watching really carefully just fine. But I do always have that fear of we're going to hit that little hill that somebody's not quite ready for, like this one here. Hit a 7% grade, and all of a sudden they're off the back. And that's why I tend to group my riders.
Several riders are attempting to break away.
We caught them with about 30 kilometers left. They broke down. It looked like somebody tried to break off the front of their group, and that just tore them apart. And we collect the last 2 here at, again, right about 30 kilometers from the end. Everybody's on level footing then.
A rider has a flat tire. Let's hope he is helped out quickly. And he sprints away in attack.
I decided to put Maris up front here for a bit. He was pulling pretty well, and I chased after this breakaway, and we got on a breakaway with them, and that really surprised me. And I took a minute here to set up a relay for effectively my team. There's 1 or 2 bicyclists there. You can see them on the left side there, 155. I think that is Budzinski, and then also Kvam was there. We rode with them for a bit. And just as I turn my head here, Budzinski goes and does a breakaway of his own, and he pulls out quite a bit when I didn't even notice. And on the replay, it's easier to see. I turned angle here to see how far ahead we were, and he's up the road. I did not see him go. We do reel him in, but the interesting thing for me on this, we maintained the breakaway to the end, and I haven't done that in so long. It was really surprising. So as I said, I put him in relay. I set him to about 80, and we are relaying nicely here, and we have a minute on the peloton with just 18 kilometers to go. I was really floored by that. Here's where we catch the breakaway guy and kind of merge in with him. And I was really happy with how well the team did relay. We're not seeing a whole lot of it here, but there was a period that it felt like they were relaying very well. It was better than I would have done manually, that's for sure. But Maris, I did have kicked up higher than the rest. That's why he stays out a little longer. Here's where I burned him. He's done now. He did his job. He's going to peel off and let the rest do this. And as you can see, Rusin allows him to go around on his own. Wisnowski is the one that I'm really trying to get to the end first, but even he went out front for a moment on the relay. My thought was if I keep everybody a little bit fresher, then the whole team might be able to help him to the end a little better. But now we're inside of 10K, as you can see, and I'm starting to use those gels. Lindgren was a great domestique on this one. He pulled pretty hard on a good portion of things, trying to reel in that initial breakaway, and then he was really helpful here. I went back and set Schmidt to auto. I don't know if I'd already done that or not. And I set his gel. I wanted him to have a decent finish, as best as he could do on his own. A few stops here as I'm just trying to figure out who needs to be in what order. I had set the strategy a little weird. I had Wisnowski as the lead, but I was trying to get Peterson to maybe have a good outing in this one as well. And I noticed his energy bar was kind of low here. He's about halfway on the yellow bar. I was a little worried about that, but it turned out not to be anything I should have been concerned about. He has a strong finish as well. And now we're under 5K, and I'm clicking all of the gels. I want them to be ready to hit that last kilometer or two pretty hard. And then we just pull off the leaders from the speed train. We're down to 2.5 kilometers. We have, we had about a minute and a half on the peloton at this point, which again blew me away. I didn't really think that was going to happen, but we start to peel these guys off. Rusin takes a pull, and then we're going to let Peterson, and here's the 1 kilometer mark. We have Peterson and Wisnowski kind of duel it out to see who's going to get it. But it wasn't a fair drag race, as I did not hit sprint on Peterson until right there at the very end. That was a mistake. But Wisnowski takes the win. And then we take 1, 2, 3, if I recall. Yep, there we go. Colby Simmons ends up in the 3rd slot. We have Rusin in 6th. This was a fantastic finish for our team. And you can just see him coming in. Not a bad outing at all. Everybody's in already. 39 was our low. And that was Lindgren, who had done a lot of work for the team overall. Here's a nice view of the finish. Didn't catch the whole thing. Sorry about that. We go to the results here. And again, Wisnowski and Peterson had put time, and Simmons had put time on everybody. That was fantastic. Haven't had that happen in quite a while. With it not being a stage race, doesn't matter as much, right? Whose wheel is first, but that's a really solid outcome here. So happy with those results. And if you look at the mail, you'll see there's a reservation confirmed for Zolder. There was a gap of a week in our schedule in, I believe, May. I went ahead and scheduled a team time trial training camp. Everybody's going to go to that. And due to our success in these last few races, it's paid for. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's take a quick look at the prize money. I think that's a little over €1,000 for the Trophy Samyn. And then we'll jump up to Euro de la Gueglia, and we made 3,100. And then for the roads, we took home almost 7,000 there. Next up was the GP Roeselare. It's very flat run. It's 174 kilometers. It is a 1.1, so we were not picked as a favorite at all. Just how we like it. Like to surprise these other teams. And in this one, I decided to just let the team ride for a while. I didn't touch anything until about 70 kilometers out. Then I did line them up, and I decided to do some manual relaying. I wanted to try to keep everybody as fresh as possible. I wanted to see what we could do for a hard sprint there at the end, if we could be a factor or not. And I thought this might be my best bet. When you're in relay, if you're actually on a breakaway or something, they'll do it on their own, as we saw in the previous race. They'll do it a little bit anyway. But when you're kind of in the pack, it doesn't work quite the same way. At least that hasn't been my experience. So I was doing this manually. You can see I'm dragging the top rider down to the bottom each time and letting them cycle. I think I was doing like 2K intervals for a while. Then I picked it up a little bit. It felt like that was taking I think I went to 1K for a while, and that just was absurd. Couldn't really manage it. So I found a sweet spot there where I kind of was doing it on timing. Every few seconds I would break off the next one, and we did that for probably 20 or so kilometers of just manual sliding around here, and I feel like it had good results because we have a pretty solid finish here. The breakaway never got too big. It never felt like it was going to be a concern. It was part of the reason I let them just ride. There was an initial breakaway that got to 20 seconds and it got captured, and then the next one never got above, I think, a minute and a half, maybe a minute 36 for a little bit, but then it came straight down and hovered around a minute for most of the race. Finally, we're kind of picking up on them, and we're in the last 45 now. And you may notice that Jones was hurting pretty bad here. I did end up using his gel early so that he could make it to the end with the pack. He did do a little bit of the pulling in of the breakaway when it was time to start, doing that. We were maintaining it pretty steadily, but it wasn't shrinking all that much unless my guy was up front. So I did put him out there for a bit, and that's what brought it in, and the other teams took over for a while. And here we're coming down to the last 15 kilometers. I start using my gels. I was using them every 2 to 3K for the first few folks, and I did try to follow any breakaways that happened. None really happened until this little one here, but it is short-lived. We collect them pretty quickly. I go ahead and I have Schmidt kind of take off after them a little bit, and as you can see, they only get a few seconds ahead for a very brief time. We pull them right back in. Good animations here. The other team's lining up, getting ready to go. And I'm switching Schmidt out. He was finally done. Peterson's going to pull for just a few seconds. And we're off. We're inside of 10K here. We have collected the breakaway. Kind of sail around them, actually. And then I have Lindgren, who's in really good shape.
And he spurts away from the group. He's going for victory. And off he goes. He's giving it one last go.
And here at 5K out, things heat up a little bit. And I had Roeselare kind of leading out here for a bit, and everybody else had fallen off. You'll notice that we were on a small breakaway of 6 riders, but only 10 seconds. Not really much to talk about there. And we will ride this train to the end here. Roeselare's doing a great job. Down to 2 kilometers. Everybody's gels are kicking in, and I go ahead and I have Simmons pull Wisnowski. And at 1K there, Wisnowski starts a sprint, and I wasn't sure he was going to hold on to it. That guy is coming on, but there's the line. Wisnowski takes another victory. And again, pretty good finishing for the rest of the team. Simmons was in 7th. You might have heard the little chirp there. That was a Steam achievement. There was down the lower right corner. Steve achievement for winning my first mass sprint finish. I didn't think it was my first, but apparently it was. I did look at the podium and watched as Lucas collected his rewards. We ended up with a 1st, 7th, and 14th in the top 20. Very nice day. And when we take a look at the prize money there, $8,400, not bad at all. Next up was the Route Leor Atlantic, and I didn't record that one, but we had a fantastic finish, 1-2-3 finish again, with Withen Philipsen taking the win. Lucas Wisnowski was in third, and of course Jesse Maris is up there as well. And then Peterson came in 16th. So fantastic finish, and that led to a €13,000 payout. So happy with that. Next up was the GP de Chalet, and I hadn't recorded the Route Leor Atlantic because it was one of those courses that I really did not expect to do well on at all. It's one of those undulating courses with some really sharp ups and downs, and I had not really ever had any success in those. So it was really a surprise that the team had held together as well as it did. I think that holding them together and using the group mindset to kind of control them all at once was really what helped there quite a bit. This one is another narrow race. It's on a circuit that repeated, and once again, I didn't expect to do terribly well on this one, but we end up with a nice result. Here I chose to break into two groups. I think I was trying to get Simmons and Lindgren to kind of pace a little bit, and then at the back I had Rusin kind of guiding. At least the plan was Rusin was going to guide Wisnowski and Peterson, and the goal was to get Peterson across the line first, get him a victory here. It was a little messy for a while, but inside 10 to go, I had gotten everybody lined up, and I was able to start picking off their gels and pulling along. And let's go ahead and we will watch this outcome together.
And they keep on attacking. Anyone that's low on gas definitely won't be able to keep up.
With just a little over 6 to go, we see these guys coming up on the outside. And I try to follow them, but I had the wrong rider selected. I had Wisnowski selected, not Schmidt, who was at the front there, so nothing really happened, unfortunately. Now we're down to 4.5. Things are going a little crazy. Rusin had fallen off. And I'm just setting up the guys to go to auto as they peel off here. Can practically see the finish line. Well, sort of. We know it's right around the bend here. Down to 2K. And there's the 1K marker. We're still in reasonably good shape, but we've kind of burned through everybody at this point. So Peterson does not come away with the win, but he is in the top 10. And it was well earned. I did make that one tactical mistake where I was on the wrong guy, but an 8th place finish there, not so bad. We have Withen Philipsen in 14th. That looks like that's it for us for the top 20. The team finished 3rd, and that gave us a payout of, let's see it here, €900. So next up, a Northern Classic, the GP van Nokere in Belgium. I believe that's in Belgium. And looking at the course, lots and lots of cobbles. Now, personally, I have not figured out how to master cobbles yet, but here we are, considerable distance into the race, and we're all lined up and pulling in the same direction, trying to see what we can do. Jones is just getting us, I think, water bottles there, and that's why he was kind of dropping back for a bit. Here comes a series of the cobble patches. There's one, and then there's there's a very short one, and then a much longer one coming up here right about now. There it is. Oh, that wasn't so bad, was it? It's this one. Okay. Didn't quite see the right one. And that's tearing me up. So one of the things I did try to do, and I don't know if it helped or not, but as I would approach the cobbles, of course I didn't seem to do it there, I was reducing my overall effort from 85 down to 75 usually. I'd done that throughout the race up to that point when I saw them coming and knew that they were going to be a little bit longer. I have to believe that helped conserve a little bit of our energy. There I dialed it back just a little bit. And I was really feathering the throttle here, so to speak, at this point in the race. We were down to 24K here, and we still had 44 seconds to make up. I wasn't sure we were going to get there because, I don't know, it felt like maybe those guys were going to be able to hold on to it because we're really starting to burn our energy with the cobbles. And in the time it took me to say that sentence, they had fallen apart and we had reeled them in. So we were back on level footing with everyone, and then I was going to try to chase any breakaways that might attempt to happen. And we can see the teams coming together here. They're lined up. They're ready to go for the end. It's rather narrow here, so it's getting squeezed a little bit, having trouble maintaining. You notice that Wisnowski is on effort at 85, and there he finally is getting through and coming up to the front. We're down to 13 and a half. Start using the gels here. Started with him. He was not picked to be the winner on our team. This was another one where I believe this was a 1.pro, and we had no business being discussed in the final results. So at this point, I was pretty pleased with where we were. Still, I had everybody together except Lindgren, who once again did his job for the team. A couple of more cobble patches here before the end, and then we're just kind of holding on to. Honestly, I was really just hoping that we didn't fall off the back with the last couple of batches that we're coming up to. Here's the last long one. Also narrow, you can't pass anybody. So as you can see, a couple of guys broke off the front there. Here's the long one. I don't know if you've ever ridden on anything like that. Even grooved pavement, man, it's almost painful. Your hands start to buzz. Everything starts to vibrate. You can't see anything. Your eyes are bouncing around. It is a skill. Down to 4K, and I have a bunch of guys lined up, and so I start sprinting them. Simmons starts us off, and once he's done, he's going to pass the torch to Roesen. Roesen does a pretty good job, pulls pretty hard. We're down to 2K now, and he still has a little energy, but we go with Peterson. And we're lining up Withen Philipsen at this point to make a hard charge here at the end, and we hit that last set of cobbles, and he times it almost perfectly.
Great stuff.
Number 2 to the line there. That was really, really close. And when the results come in, we have a 2nd, 4th, and 5th. So, man, hard to knock that effort. And with it being a 1.pro and cobblestones, I was really happy with this outcome. The next day, we got an email there. First of all, we won 17,000. I'm going to start trying to say euro instead of dollars. I think I've done that pretty well in this episode. But 17,400 euro is what we took home. Fantastic payout, best payout we've had so far. We also got an email that Chris Froome is ending his career. And I don't think he was injured or anything, but, you know, he was 39 at this point. And I don't know if he's still, I'm sure he's still cycling right now. I don't think he was in the Tour de France, but he was my son's favorite for quite a while. So he was somebody I kind of pay attention to. And in this game, he's on Israel Premier Tech, as you can see, and had quite a storied career. I did go back and I played with the replay feature just a little bit. I wanted to see how close that finish really was. So let's see, point 2, we have Withen Philipsen. He had just split Peterson and Roesen, and there was the finish. That's about the best angle I was able to get of it. I probably could have turned off the HUD there so we could see it a little more cleanly. But I tried to rerun it a couple of times, see if I could get any closer. Here's where he's being pulled. We're at 0.7. He starts to go, splits them, hits those cobbles, afterburner, and just edges the 3rd place. There, that's a pretty good angle, but it jumps ahead far too quickly for me. I wish there was a slow motion here that you could capture. Yeah, couldn't quite see it. And if you look at that, if he'd gone 2 more bike lengths, he has the win. So that was probably the closest finish that I've had a cyclist involved in, probably in my Pro Cycling Manager career. Believe it or not, I've never really had one that came that close, particularly for like the top three. I mean, it was less than a bicycle wheel for all three of them. That was fantastic. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. I really apologize that it wasn't a little better. It was more of a highlight where I narrate, and I'm not terribly good at that yet. But I will bring you some more Pro Cycling Manager in the very near future, some full episodes. For this one, thanks for your time, and until next time, fair travels.